Recording is in progress. Good morning, y'all. It's Code Platoon, evenings, weekends. This is India Platoon. I am your host today, Jordan, and we're going to be doing a React recap. It's day 4 of React. We have learned the basics, and today we're going to show those basics again and talk about why we might utilize them. Mm. As we're showing you these things in React, it's very easy to just kind of nod your head and say, okay, that's how you do that. Uh, and truly, honestly, um, these apps can be however the heck you want to do it. It's all design choice. Um, you can slam your head against an app.jsx file and make it, make it happen, make it work. But the point of using React, there's a lot, but primarily what you want to be thinking about is programmatically generating a website and doing things the smart programmer way. We're going to keep things dry where we can, and we're going to organize it in a way that makes sense. We don't want to have to update something and change it on 15 different lines. Uh, we want to use components to make uh, reusable blocks of code, and we want to use props to share that to the requisite pages. So we have learned that components are the fundamental building blocks of React, operating as functions that return HTML, allowing us to create HTML elements directly in JavaScript. This is important. It's not HTML that we're generating. We're generating functions that generate HTML. State is a big deal in React. State is not a variable. State is a different type of variable that causes pages to re-render components with that state. Um, that's kind of the big deal, right? We can change a variable, and a variable change is one thing, but a change of state allows us to re-render components and pages as needed when something is changed. That is how we reactively produce information. Lifting state. Have we talked about lifting state?
No.
It's not really an important the thought process is we don't want to be defining state uh, in multiple places. We want to define it at the highest level we can. So the children of that component, uh, are able to utilize that state change. Again, state is going to cause re-renders of components. So it makes sense that we have one state in one place to re-render as much, down as we can, because it's going to operate the way we kind of want it to. We don't want to have state redefined on multiple places. We'll be doing a very basic to-do app example, which is some good repetition. Spinning up this dadgum app. We have Vite for that. Not Vite, Vite. Vite, not Vite. It's like feet. Ugh. Let's run through this. And this always throws me for a loop because I feel like it changes a little bit. And also, they didn't have this when I was, ooh, that's going to drive me nuts. They didn't have this when I was doing React. Just had to build it raw. Need to install the following packages. Create Vite. Yes. Project name. It will default to Vite-project. I'm going to just call it to-do app. Now, select a framework. Vanilla, Vue, React, Preact, Lit, Svelte, Solid, Ember, Quick, Angular, Marco. I recognize like 5 of these. So don't ask me too much about what these other ones are. There is a new JavaScript, library written every day, something like that. I don't know what all these are. I don't expect you to know what all these are. We're going to be using React. Select a variant, TypeScript, React compiler, TypeScript, Swift web compiler. Let's to keep it simple today, we're just going to be doing some JavaScript. I don't know what this experimental thing is that started showing up. Install with npm start now? Yes. I would love to start it or install it and start it. I think this is going to spin it up, which is okay. Let's see how long it takes a cheap M1 to spin this up. Probably not as bad as pulling Docker images and all that. There we go. Dunzo. It's running, I think. Let's follow that. Hey, it's got a cute little counter. It's doing things. It's running. Running in my terminal. This is my website. Since it is React, I keep saying review. It's a recap. Where's this HTML coming from in this app? What's all this? This wasn't here before. Who feels confident explaining to me all this junk that was just added to my folder? I see
Is there a
app.jsx.
Under your
10,
source folder?
10 points for
Uh,
that?
is there what for that?
Are you gonna give us 10 extra points on the personal project or just a
No. Hey, we're being recorded right now. That was pre-class. Don't ever say that
my bad?
again. I see app.jsx from Dan. Source main.jsx. Ooh, that's also technically correct. Okay, so let's point some things out here. This is something I like to do with Django just a little bit. Students get stressed out when things like this pop up and they didn't write it. They're like, I want to write all my files. Don't worry. This is JavaScript. We're going to have a node modules bin. This is our virtual environment for all intents and purposes. Don't say that in an interview, but when you think node modules, think virtual environment. This is where our libraries are kept. These are our, everything that React needs to run is there. We don't go in here, we don't poke around and say, "Oh yeah, excellent. I want to see this." Like that's crazy. We're not at that level. We don't need to do that. We're not going to be finding issues with libraries. Public. It's just this .svg. Public's fine. That's obviously a place where Vite wants to keep some images. Source. This is the bread and butter. We've got a main.jsx and an app.jsx, index CSS, app CSS. Fine. Main.jsx. This is technically what we're seeing here. But it is pulling an app. This is app. This is app. App from app.jsx. So it's straight up using this strict mode, create, root, document, render. Don't worry about all that. This is just app. App.jsx is this. So main.jsx is producing all this, but all it really is a single component of app.jsx. So if I want to make changes to anything here, it should be an app.jsx. Does that make sense to everyone? Both of those answers are
Changes to
correct.
what?
So if
If
I want to
there's
make
any
changes
changes.
to this main page here, this main page that
Okay.
React has just booted up, we only have one file really to pay attention to. So as an example, I don't want to see Vite plus React. I want to say feet plus React. How do I update that?
In the index HTML, I think that's where it's at.
Index?
All right.
This?
App. JSX.
Yeah, app.jsx. It's
Okay.
index HTML is serving up
In your
app.jsx. That's
H1,
where. Okay.
Yep.
line 19
Yeah.
of
So
apps.
yeah, I did to back up. This is serving this, but index.html is serving this. If we want to make changes, We're going to do
Yeah,
an
okay.
app.jsx.
Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, it's here. And so I would expect Vite plus React to be on this page somewhere. Vite. Oh, there it is. Plus React. So if I just Vite. Oh, this is going to drive me nuts. I got to fix that. Hey, look at that. It's updated on our server. If I want anything to happen or stop happening, it's here. Everything is built from here. Much like how main.jsx imports app as a component, I can build onto app.jsx with components. So this is kind of our entry point. If you don't say that in an interview, but this is an entry point for us to get into this application. This is the start. This is where it's all from. If I want stuff to go away, I can delete it. I can trim this away. This is all, great for, hey, your app is running, but I don't really want all that. Let's get rid of those logos. Now that the logos are gone, maybe we should get rid of the references to them. Here's an href blank beat logo. I don't want that anchor tag. Here's another anchor tag. I'm going too fast. What did I just delete here? What is this?
The image.
Yeah, so that is well, what's this though?
It's the hyperlink.
Yeah, it's a hyperlink. Do y'all know what target underscore blank does?
Does it open it in a new tab?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, that's just a way to get it to open in a new tab. So if I click on one of these, oh, that's so helpful. If I trash that, oh
So
God.
I see how React is a front end web development now by looking at this. What part would be the back end? If I'm visualizing this, like what's the back end? So I see that React is for front web development. And I see because we're creating all the components that you'll see on the web page itself. But at what point does React take in the back end? Am I asking the question right? Or
You're
what is
asking
considered back
questions.
end?
You're asking some questions that might be answered in Module 8, where we connect these two things. But I will answer your
Ah,
question. I will answer your question because I know it can be difficult to understand like where all these things kind of plug together. All we're doing is writing some front end stuff here. But even here, we are pulling from somewhere else. When you think back end is front end, back end. The only reason we have a front end and a back end in our apps is because we're building a monolithic app. We've got a back end that's handling everything, and we've got a front end that's handling everything. We could put stuff, everything that Django is doing, I could cram into JavaScript if I wanted, but I want to use Django to build that API. The back end is anything I'm reaching out to that isn't the front end.
mhm.
Um,
Okay. And then the
number
APIs that we put in is what reaches out to the back end. Is that correct?
No, we will
Or
be fetching from the back end with JavaScript. So as kind of an example, this href, this hyperlink is reaching out to this page here. That's what that's doing. That's why when we click
okay,
on it, it goes here, and that gives us this is a get. This is a get to this URL here. Um,
gotcha.
if I had my backend set up and running, I had like wherever we have it hosted, I probably, if it were running on just, local host 8,000 or whatever, uh, we could hit that here with this anchor tag. It would technically hit it. We would technically be reaching out to our backend. Now, a get with an anchor tag is not the most useful thing in the world. We have fetch, which will pull that JavaScript, that JSON data in, and then we can display it here. We will get into that. That's just not where we're at yet. Uh, but we can write fetches in JavaScript to hit an API, our backend that is running, and pull data from it. If we, as an example, had the Pokemon app running, that would, serve up a certain Pokemon when you give it a number. We want to hit our backend Pokemon -1. or sorry, /1. We would, do it here, probably outside of the return. We'll do it in the function. We'll pull that data in, like Pokemon data equals, this is very much pseudo codey. Oh God. Fetch our backend, 1. And then we would say, for I'm getting a little crazy with it. We could create something to hold that data, and then we would display that data down here, much like this count is being rendered. We just have to go get it. As long as it's running somewhere, we go get it. These things are not intrinsically combined, and that's a big thing to think about. Sure, our front end probably needs that back end to run, but we could also develop our front end in a way that doesn't, it's not predicated upon the back end being up. It could just be alive, and only when we need data from the back end would it, generate something. They're not
Okay.
they're not like tied together. They're two separate things, and they're reading, basically back end is just churning, front end is writing to it and reading from it. So great. We've got feet plus React. This counter is running. How's this counter even work? Well, it's being said here. What is this? Who knows? This is weird looking. What's this count, set count, use state? What's going on here? Who knows what this is? Looking for a word, something we all actually, I don't think all of us live in one right now, but I certainly live in one.
Constant.
No.
Constant state. I don't know.
State is
Matrix.
the word. I was looking for the word state. This is
I thought we were
state.
getting deep.
No. I'm getting silly with it. This is state. This is state.
Is it okay?
State is important because I guess I could display. I don't want this recording to get super long, but I think it's important we hammer some of these things out. I know we don't all read this. We're not all Jordan. We can't see all this and consume it in a half second and say, I know exactly what this web page does. Let's clear some of this junk out. We were running this direction with the image, pulled that Vite logo, whatever. I don't want all that right now. I am going to lose my mind. Let's comment all that out, see what we look like. Great. Vite plus React. All this extra stuff. Fine. I don't want it anymore. Let's just look at these buttons. Ooh. Played it too much there, Jordan. That's not your P tag, is it? The indentation. Ah, killed that div. That's all I want. This is all I want. Vite plus React. We got an H tag. We got this counter here. This is showing us what state is capable of doing. I've got a constant here. It is called count. And I've got set count. This is a callback function to update this. This is how you are going to set state. This 0 here is the default. Use state default. This is how the way it's always going to look. This means that when we call this function set count, it will update the value of count and re-render it on the page. Here's our button. We have an on-click function that is going to set count. Set count we don't have that defined anywhere besides here. All this means is set count is a function that allows us to update count. It's not a variable. If we wanted to update a variable, we would just change the value. We would just say, hey, count is equal to, 1 now. We can't do that with state because it wouldn't do what we wanted to do, which is re-render this page. So we've created a button here that when clicked will update count by adding a 1 to it. And on that button, we have this string here. Count is count, the state. That's why this is getting updated. If I wanted to change that value, I would say, like the count is, oh my God, the count is 13, right? We're just changing the value here. If we wanted to use a variable instead, I think it wouldn't be updating. Let me go off the rails a little bit. If we wanted to do something like just count equals 0, no problem there. And instead of, let's just do this. Oh, it's driving me insane. Would this work? Does this work, Jordan? Oh, I don't know if it likes that. On click, count plus 1. Is that going to drive it insane? Mm-hmm. Sure will. Does that work? Strange. So what I'm trying to display smartly, and I'm probably losing you all a little bit, is I'm updating count here when I click this button. It's not really doing anything. We're not changing this count value, and we're not able to, the page isn't going to re-render squat. I feel like I could be able to, if I wrote a function that updated count, I feel like I'm losing the plot here. The important thing to remember here is that if we're using state, it will re-render the value of count everywhere it is used. That's why we do that. If I tried to do this with a variable, there'd be nothing to tell the page to update that variable. This is going to render the value of count at the time the page is rendered. Unless we're using state to update count, nothing is going to tell this page to re-render with a new number. We have to use state for that. Probably could cook up a little bit better example of that, but that's what we're going to do. All right. Was there anything else I want to talk about on this page before we actually get into this stinking lecture? I think we're good. I think we're good. So we have spun up the app. With Vite, you'll be given some interactive command prompts. Dunzo. Step 2, creating components. Inside your newly created React app directory and source directory, or will be a source directory. This contains all the source code. Yep, we talked about that. This includes app.js, JSX, no TS, TSX. We're not using TypeScript right now. I should have pulled that out. We're going to add these components, and we're going to render those components. So let me just copy paste all this, and let's talk about it. Yep. Here we go. And look at our beautiful application. All right, here's our app. we have item 1, item 2, item 3. If I want to add some new to-do list like mow the lawn, adds, looks great. React application done. We have a to-do list that functions. But we have it all on one big old page. All of these things, there's no components being utilized here. There's just pretty much raw JavaScript. We have our function to create our app here. We've got to-dos and set to-dos. We have established off the bat that we have items 1, 2, and 3. These are just defaults. We don't have to have these, but that's what's giving us, these items here. We then have this handle submit function. Much like we were handling the count down here, we've got a function to, update it here. Handle submit. When an event occurs, event prevent default. This is going to prevent the page from refreshing. Set to-dos. Take all the previous list, update it with the event target elements to-do value. That seems insane. Just keep that in your head. Let's go down here and make sense of it. All of our JavaScript is up here. Everything that is going to the page is here in the return. Got this block here. We have a unordered list. Then we are mapping our to-dos. Each item in the list is given a key of the index. This is not strictly necessary, but it makes React happy. We can take that out. And it's going to complain saying, hey, each key needs an individual index or an individual key list. It's a React thing. We've got a form. When submitted is going to call that handle submit. This one here. So this is just a list of all our items in our to-dos. This is our state, to-dos, which off the bat is going to be item 1, item 2, item 3. Should be looking at the code. We're just mapping this ordered list, all of our to-do items, item 1, item 2, item 3, indexing them. And then each instance of it is going to be a list item with an index that's hidden from us and the to-do value itself. So either in item 1 or item 2 or item 3. Below that, we've got the form. This is our form. It's got an input box of text, an ID of to do, and a button that is submit. And on that button, it says add to do. That's where this add to do is coming from. So when we submit it, it calls the function handle submit. Let's look at that again. Handle submit off the rip is going to accept an event. This is how we track events in React. We're going to prevent default. We don't want that page to refresh. If I remove that, if you forget to do that thing, mow the lawn. What's happening? Why isn't it populating? All I did was comment out event.prevent default. What's going on?
You said that's about the refresh?
That's right. If I don't the basic form action, the default form action is on a submit, it'll refresh the page. If we refresh the page, we lose state. And we go back to these defaults. I keep saying the word default. We go back to these set values here. So that is why if we're doing a form, we need to prevent that from happening if we want to keep track of it. If we don't want this page to refresh, you don't have to do it all the time, but if the point is to reactively update this page, we need to prevent that refresh from happening. And all this is doing is setting to-dos. You give it the old value of previous, or rather we're defining it as previous. To take everything that exists in that list and add one more thing to it, which is event, target, elements, to do, value. That's crazy, but it's not that crazy. The event captured here is going to be this button strike. There's a way to dig into this actually. Let's see this. Event? Is that going to be a good way to drill into this? Whoa! I captured the event. So all this seems like crazy nonsense. This event.target elements to do value. Jordan, I don't know what that is. Well, we can just console.log the event when this function is struck, and we can see. So this is the event, which is the thing that happened. And what happened was we hit a button. We have all kinds of crazy stuff here. Is default prevented, function that returns true, yada, yada. But this is our target. This is what we're looking at, that form. Let's open that up. So I've got event.target and all kinds of goodies in here. But what we're interested in is the elements. Elements here. Open that up. So the elements of the form, we've got an input, we got a button, and we got a to-do. Let's look at that to-do value. And by the way, it's called to-do because I set an ID here called to-do. This is how we reference that input. Open up to-do, and its value is currently 2. Because that's what I inputted. That's my 2 here. If I were to change this to, mow the lawn, add a to-do item, we probably have a new event to look at down here. Target, elements, to-do, value, mow the lawn. So that's the event. Notice in our console, I've now got 2 events because I'm capturing them each time. This first one here and the second one here. So that's all this form is doing. When that button is hit, handle submit runs. It prevents the page from restarting, and it adds the value of event, target, elements, to do, value to this list, and it sets state with it. That's the dance that's happening. We're just capturing the event of the form submission, and then we're able to pull whatever was in that list and add it to state. Seems like a complicated way to do that. We're just using the tools that are available to us. We're able to see this event, and we're able to see the elements that are involved in it, and we're going to add it to the list. And that's how we're getting it to re-render properly, by setting state with it. Does that make sense? Would someone like me to run through that again?
Can you do that again?
Yeah. Where is this data being saved? This data is being saved in Chrome memory. Your side, probably. So we got a list of items here. Items 1, 2, 3. That is the default values of state of count. We have set this state called to-dos. We have given it a callback function called set to-dos. If I ever want to update state, which is to-dos, I need to use the command or the function set to-dos, which should take a value and will update use state. Let's ignore the handle function for just right now. Here's my list. I'm taking that to-dos state We are mapping it in a list like that. And then we've got index. Index is literally just adding 0, 1, 2 to these things to keep them separated. This is the proper way to do this in React. We don't have to do that. We could just give it a list. But this is an easy way to map these things and keep React happy. All lists, all elements need a key that is unique. Form. On submit, we're going to use handle submit. But let's look at the form itself. It's an input and a button. Yep, there's an input. There's a button. The input's ID has been called to do. That's a little complicated. Let's form input. Maybe that's easier. To do list form input. Real there now, real specific to what it is. Submit button, add to do to list. We can change all these things. It's done so. Let me refresh this page just to get all this junk out of here. When this form is submitted, i.e., when the button is pressed, it triggers this function. What are we doing with this function? We're grabbing the event. The event is going to be this form being submitted. How do we know that? I console.logged the event. I added prevent default because when a form is submitted, it refreshes page. We don't want that. Then set to dos. Set to dos is going to set state. We're basically taking all of the previous values, which are these, and then adding a value here. If we didn't do it that way, if we instead, we could, make this even, whoa, no. Oh my goodness. It's not what I want. I'm struggling with my keyboard right now. If we instead just want to do something simple like form submitted, that would probably work. It's not really going to generate anything because we can't iterate through it. Consider adding an error boundary. To-do's map is not a function. Oh, because I am trying to do it here. Interesting. What did I do? I'm adding too much complexity, falling down this rabbit hole. We want to update this list with a new value. So when we set to-dos, we're going to accept the previous state. We're going to spread operator it out. We're going to say, take all of those, put them in a list, add this to that list, event, target, elements, to do, value. Well, if we want to see what the event is, we can console.log it, which I did. New thing. Add it. Oh, what did I break?
Didn't you change the name of the variable?
I sure did, didn't I?
And line 24.
I sure did. Is it still here? It is here. We at least saw it, right? So it broke, but I did get my event. Here's my target. Input, to-do list form input. That is the name of that. So let's update that with this. Because I want this input text. New thing. Bam. And now it's here. Because the event was captured. The target is that form. The elements here. And I've got the input, which I could possibly use that. But then here is this to-do list form input, which contains a value, and that value is that new thing that I wrote here. So that's how we got it. We grabbed it. We nabbed the value of that event. And we added it to state, and we're setting state to update it. That's all. Questions? Let's continue with this to get into components a little bit. Refactoring. So, like I said, this is a working solution. All the code is here. This is great. If I wanted to continue developing this, I want this to-do list to get more complicated. I want to expand it. Maybe I want to use different items of the to-do list somewhere else. Maybe I want to be able to update the to-do list, or just display the output of it. I need this to be a little bit more broken up. And we're going to do it this way. We're going to start breaking out the individual values, or sorry, the individual pieces into this components directory. By default, we're not just going to get that. Raw React doesn't do that for us. Next does that for us. And here I'm going to create a submit.jsx, or sorry, submit to do JSX component. So submit, oh, the Chrome thing, submit to do.jsx. From there, let's look at what code we want to put in here. All this is going to look familiar because we just pulled it out of app.jsx. Using state, that's the same. Display to-dos, we haven't created that yet. That's okay. But this is all kind of the same thing. This is the submit to do. We don't have our list here, and that's kind of the difference. We've still got our to-dos state. We've still got our handle submit. It looks the same. It's grabbing an event, stopping the refresh, adding the event target elements to do value to that state. And now, we're going to display some other component. We haven't written that yet. That's okay. But we've got our form, and our form looks exactly the same. We need to figure out what display to-dos is. Let's go back here. Oh, very simple. It's just a component that does that display, that list. Still, up here in app.jsx, we're literally just pulling this part of it out and put it into a different component. In case I wanted to render that list out there, in other places. Breaking it up. So in components, new file, display. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Display to-dos.jsx. Dunzo. Paste that there. simple as a component as we can make. We're just defaulting this function, display to-dos. It's going to take to-dos. It's going to map them. So it's going to have to be passed to-dos at some point. We'll get there. One last piece. We've added 2 components. Now let's clean app.jsx up. We don't need to be doing all of this anymore. That's being handled by a different component. We don't need to be doing this list anymore. That's being handled by a component instead. In fact, all we're going to do, is that all I want? Is that all I want? That's all I want. Is render one single component. This is a little, this works, right? So app.jsx is now only submitting the submit to do component right here. We do need to pull those in. Copy. Okay, let's just nab the whole thing. All right. So we're importing components submit to do. App.jsx is only generating submit to do. What is submit to do? It's that submit form. It's going to generate display to-dos. What's that? It's just this list of them. So we've broken it up. So app.jsx just has the submit to do form. The submit to do form will show the display, and the display is just this display. This works, but it's kind of, does anyone think that's weird design? Does that kind of complicate it? I look at app.jsx and I just see submit to do. Does that really explain what's going on here? Oh, let's see if this works. All right, it's still working. Following this app, I'm in app.jsx, the entry point, and I just see submit to do. But there's something else here. This is the submit to do, but here's the list. To figure out what that is, I have to go to submit to do and see it's pulling in another component that I need to go into and is reliant upon the state here in submit to do. App.jsx is completely ignorant of this. This is the parent, and there's a daughter, and that daughter is the parent of this other daughter. Just y'all picking up what I'm putting down?
Mm-hmm. Can you repeat that again one more time about the daughter and the parent?
Yeah, so app.jsx is displaying a list and a submit form for that list. The way it's doing that is the submit button. It's got a component for the submit button. This submit button needs this state here. It's also displaying the to-dos component, which needs state as well. I think this graphic might be helpful, maybe to some. This is our structure. App, and then submit to-dos, and then display to-dos. And this is the ultimate question. Why is the submit to-do component responsible for rendering display to-dos? Does that make sense? My submit component is what's in charge of displaying the list. That's a little complicated. Shouldn't my display to-dos be displaying the list? It is. It's just I have to get here to see that. I would love app.jsx to look something like this. This makes more sense to me. Because if we're looking at this page, it's a list and then it's a submit form. App.jsx is our entry point. I should see all of the different components that I'm seeing on this page, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the order that they're coming in. Let's fix that.
It'll make it hard to fix too, because somebody that needs to figure out what it's doing, they'll have to figure out, oh, I have to go here to display the to-dos.
Exactly. We're all here seeing this build, and I've said it, 16 times in a row, app and then submit to do and then displays to do. But somebody stepping into it, looking at this page for the first time, is saying, okay, this is the entry point. This is the first page. I got a list. I got a thing that adds to the list. Great. All right. Submit. Okay. So submit to do handles all of this? No. Submit to do handles the form and then displays the list. Why does the submit button care about the list? It doesn't have to. That should be an app.jsx. It should be at the same level. If we're displaying two different things on the same page, I would love to see both of those things displayed in the order that they're coming in. We should fix this. Instead of the current parent-child relationship, we want submit to do and display to do to be sisters, because they're not based off of each other. One is generating a list, one is adding to the list. Why does it make sense for them to be underneath each other? They're using the same information, but they're solving two different problems. App is the common parent in this example. Normally we'd probably wrap all of these in like the form component, but for this, we're putting them all in app. So the way I want to work through this, handle submit is pretty common. We could break it out even further, but for right now, we're going to put handle submit in app.jsx, just in case we want to be able to handle submitting from different ways, from different components. So all I'm doing is peeling handle submit out. Here it is again, didn't change any code. This is still that same old handle submit in app.jsx. And then we're now going to, in order, display to-dos, giving it the to-dos state. And then we're going to display the submit to-dos. We're going to give it the props of handle submit as well as the list. You could maybe feel like, having to write to-dos here on both of these components is not very dry, but this is allowing both of them to have access to this same state. If we want these components to have access to the state, we need to pass it in. This is totally fine. This is okay. No one's going to beat you up for having some replicated code here. Now, submit to do is going to look a little different because it no longer has this handle submit here anymore, but it is bringing in those props that we passed it. Am I going to jack myself up by not just copy pasting?
Where did we pass with the props?
Here in app.jsx. Submit to do. Here are your props. You have access to handle submit, which is this function. You also have access to to-dos, which is state. When we go to submit to do, we bring those in manually here. We also could do props. We'll get into that. But right now, we're specifying specifically, we're deconstructing basically. Here it is. Here's handle submit and here's to-dos. It still has access to handle submit, even though we ripped it out. It's no longer on this page, but it is passed in from its parent here. And it has the to-do list, which it's not on this page, but it is passed in from its parent. The last thing, do we need that anymore? Oh, we don't need state in here anymore. We're pulling it in. We're pulling in to-dos. We don't need it on this page. That would be a new state. Lastly, display to-dos needs to be cleaned up as well. Actually, does it? Is there anything being changed here? No, I don't think there is. It's exactly the same. Display to-dos was always receiving the to-do list. Just it used to receive it from the submit to-do. Now it's receiving it from app.jsx. It doesn't care. It's still these props. Notice that submit to do is now a passive component. It does everything it does is now given to it by its parent app, right? There's no submit to dos is not in charge of this list anymore. This makes logical sense. App displays a list and has a way to add to that list.
So
No
what
one is hand. What's up?
the stuff in the curly brackets, those are state handed down from the parent.
Yes. And defined here.
Okay. And it stays in memory, doesn't like um you don't go out of scope. You can't they don't go out of scope. They just stay in memory since you're using use state.
Correct.
Okay.
This established state here is going to be the same state that is in memory, or sorry, that is the same state that is in memory for this component and this component. If we make changes here, components with that state will re-render that state.
Cool.
Not only does this structure more accurately represent the nature of the application, it also makes it easier to add some components that use that same state. Let's add a feature. So, oh God, what have I done? Did I jack this up? I sure did. I never. So, what's going on here, gang? I got two lists. Hello? It's adding to both lists. What's going on here?
Have you called it twice? You've called that component twice somewhere?
So let's start. App.jsx, I see display, and I see submit.
You got
Let's see.
set. Oh, go ahead.
Let's look at, in order, let's go to display to-dos. Display to-dos. This looks like it's just mapping. It pulls in the to-dos and it maps them. So that's fine. Let's look at submit to-dos. Oh, this is also pulling in the component display to-dos. So we're pulling in this list in app, but the submit to-do is also doing that. We don't need to do that. We don't want it in two different places. In fact, I don't think use state needs to be in there either. My IDE is helping me with that. Sensible. All right. So we want a new feature. We want a feature that displays the list, or sorry, the number of to-do items. So somewhere here, I want a counter that says how many items we still have to do. Well, in our old design, where would that have gone? Would that have been at the app level, or would it have been at this submit to do? Would we have some counter here, or would we need to go to displays and have it? Or would we need a new component that plugs in and everything is based off of this trickle down effect? Well, in our new design, we could put it here. That makes sense. Everything on this page should be displayed here. To-dos left, to-do link, easy peasy. Doesn't get much more simple than that. Let's not cheat. Maybe let's work through this logically. I'm going to give us an example here. Someone take a stab at creating a new component that lists the number of components. We have all the tools we need to be able to do that. Here's an example of a component. Who's going to take a stab at it?
Maybe I'll do it. Even though I have no idea what I'm doing.
All right, we need a new
You just
component.
you just need a counter. So you have to create a component that and then put a counter in it.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how to make a component. Like I guess you can copy paste the todos dot map.
Okay. Where?
Um, I don't know. Maybe you have to make another file or you have to create a another component that counts.
Correct. Let's make a new file. Let's call it count to dos. Text. All right, here we are. Yeah, sure. We could just copy paste this. I don't want to return.
Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah.
I don't really want all that. I just really want something that displays.
Yeah, yeah, div tag, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Why do you have that weird B?
Because everything is wrong. Now instead of doing all this crazy mapping,
Just have to do like a counter, like display a counter.
sure.
Somehow, I don't.
Let's fix one thing. So this function is going to be called count to dos. Let's change this to count to dos. And by counter, we're saying counter. We don't really need a. That sounds complicated. What would be the count? App.jsx has 3 items. What would be the count?
Should be up to 3.
How do we get that from this list?
You can
Yep.
just get the list, like just get the size of the list.
Exactly.
So
I
it's the
think
list, then list dot size or something.
list dot length, maybe.
Yeah, I forgot. I keep getting Python and JavaScript mixed up.
I think that's right. I don't know. My JavaScript's not great.
I think you need to.
So
Oh no, it's a property. So yeah,
we'll see. So I've got this component here. Where is it?
You gotta call that the component.
You
In
gotta
the
import it in on the app JSX.
Yes. Oop. Uh, oop. No. All right, I imported it. I need to call it. Let's put it at the, oh God, I'm driving myself insane with this. There we go. We'll put it at the top. Count. Hey,
Hmm.
look at that. So that item, this counter is changing. We can make that a little bit, easier to see there, number of items. Look at there. If I want to make it, a little flashier, maybe I do like a H1. Oh man, nice and big. And it's working. How did the lecture want to do that? Oh, yeah, almost exactly the same.
it's just using a paragraph. Looks like.
Yeah. And then we updated app.jsx by adding the to-do count, plugging it in here, and then app displays all 3. That was easy, right? We wanted to add a new component. We created it. We used another one of these that already existed as a template. I just changed the name of the function. I did what I wanted to do within this component, which was number of items. I imported it and I plugged it in. I gave it the props that it needed to do its job. Do we all follow that? That wasn't too bad, right? This is making sense. Our page has 3 different things going on here. And we've got 3 different components, each doing it. They all are referencing this to-dos list. They all need to-dos. This needs to know it to count. This needs to know it to, generate a list. And this needs to know it so that it can add to that list. So all 3 are going to be passed to-dos. It's not the only way to go about this, but this is how it makes sense for our application. We've got a submit here, and we're passing that down. You don't have to. This could, go in the submit to do, but this is, a design choice. Maybe we want to use this some other way somewhere else. So we'll put it here at the highest level it needs to be used. This next bit, destructuring props. This is a design choice here. We could, let's see here. This is a destructuring. What this is, oh, we don't even need that in there anymore. Oh, props. Yeah, props isn't even being used there, so we don't have to. Whoopsies. We don't need to pass that to-dos. This is destructuring. I know it looks, don't get these confused. These brackets here are not doing the same thing that these brackets here are doing. This is within the return. If we are in the return, we are in technically the JSX part. This is the templating. This within the return says, hey, this is all HTML except this. This is JavaScript. This is a value, this is a function. This is the JavaScript part. Up here, outside of that return, this is raw JavaScript. This is where we can do console.log, hello world. Oh my. This is raw JavaScript. We can do that here. We could not do console.log down here. This is HTML. If we wanted to plug that in, I'm just giving up on using my command key. If we wanted to console.log something down here, I mean, that's probably going to break something for us. I mean, it may break. It may yell at us and say, I don't know what you're wanting. Or it just won't display, which is the most likely thing. Yeah, we're not seeing that hello world. It's just
printing the entire
it
thing
won't
out.
display it. It'll just show it in
Yeah.
the console. Like
Yeah,
you'll
so
see it in
it's
the return when you look in the.
So it's treating it like HTML, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're not even seeing it in the console. It's nowhere.
Yeah.
That's not doing anything for us because this is our fake HTML. We can't just write JavaScript in there. If we wanted to put that JavaScript in there, which I can show this off. Let's create a variable. Dog is equal to squid. That's Fido. We can do that. This is JavaScript. This everything above the return is JavaScript. Everything below it is not. We can't just, create a one more little div here. Div. If I put the word dog, oh, what's going on? You don't like that? Dog is not defined. Well, dog is not defined because this isn't Python, Jordan. There we go. There's dog. It's right there. But I didn't want dog. I wanted Fido. If I want this to be JavaScript, if I want it to be that constant, I need to wrap it in curly braces. Notice it's Fido now. because before it was just the word dog within a div. If I wanted to do some console.login, I'm going off the rails here a little bit. I think that's not going to do what I want it to do. Oh, it does. Interesting. Refresh. Hello world, twice. Why is it doing it twice? That's a question to chew on. I can console.log down here in the return if I wrap it in braces, because that tells it this is JavaScript within there.
So you got some JavaScript inception because you got JavaScript wrapped in JavaScript.
It's actually because on app.jsx, I'm displaying submit to do, which calls it here. And then I'm also calling it again here.
Mm-hmm.
It's running twice, basically. It's rendering and then it's finishing the render. It's running this twice. All that to say, these brackets here do a different thing. These brackets here are allowing us to not do this. For example, I'm on the wrong one. So count to-dos, we've got to-dos. We could instead get rid of these braces and just use props. If we wanted to do that, though, we would then need to say props dot. This is destructuring what we're doing here. This is saying, hey, everything within props, use those keys instead. If we wanted to pass multiple things, we could just use the word props and then specify from there, hey, I know it's props, but I specifically want the to-do props. It's a choice. If you were passing in like 17 different props, maybe you don't want to see all 17 of those every single time, right? You don't want them listed out here and have to keep changing them through every, multiple times on multiple lines. You could, instead of destructuring the to-dos here, just use props and then reference it from there. Again, this is the same as this. Is the same line of code.
So in this case, since to-dos is the only one you have, you're replacing that for props, so you could call it props dot land in that case at the bottom, right?
No, because let's check it out.
Let's see.
Console.log props. I'm gonna this is props on the count to-dos.jsx. Maybe that's not the best way to do that. Let me see. Here it is. Again, showing twice. So what is prop? This is the value of props here. It is a object with a key props and then a list. So we have to do props dot to-dos. If we wanted to, yeah, we have to do dot to-dos. If we did length, I think it would be let's run it
Wouldn't it
again.
be one?
It's actually the same because let's see. Well, props. Yeah, it should be one, right? Am I printing too much? Yeah, I don't want all that. Props undefined. Ooh, it doesn't like that. Oh, because we're trying to pull the length of a dictionary. I don't know that dictionaries have length in JavaScript, do they?
Maybe they
I
should.
I don't know, maybe.
Somebody put LEN parentheses in the chat. Yeah, Lee Yi said it's LEN parentheses.
What? No, that's
That
old.
was like
And
15
that's
minutes ago.
Python.
I mean, you can replace the lamp for anything else. I just want to make sure that it works for prompt, since he's doing the prompt replacing that to do's, right? Now, in this case, there's only one though. That's why I'm doing that. But if there were two, then I need to specify, in which direction I'm going. That's
Right.
what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. So it's necessary to specify that we're taking the to-dos because it is an object. Props is going to be an object including all of the prop values that are sent. So we need to specify this. Props.length would not be the same as to-dos.length. In fact, it doesn't even work because evidently JavaScript objects.length doesn't work. Here is a object I created called, oh, that's not even proper JavaScript, Jordan. Oh, you can't paste. Const dog equals name Fido. That's good now. Still not liking it. So pulling length wouldn't work. That's we're running off the deep end there, but we have to call out the specific value of the specific prop that we're trying to use because props is going to give us all of them. Even if there's only one, it's still just going to be a key within props. I don't really
You
know what this is included here. What's up?
you can get the length of a map using dot size.
Object.keys, dictionary.length. Yes, that is how we would do that. Again, off the rails. It's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the length of one of the props. Um, this thing here is useful to know, just like we've done with functions in the past, we can set uh, values to a default. Notice this is really not like the way we'd go about this. We've been setting these default values here, and that's what they've always been. If we wanted to have a default value here, this won't work. This is jacking it up because all of the function or all of the components kind of expect it to have that. We could instead do it this way. Oh, wait, is that, I don't want to jack up. I'm just going to copy because I don't want to lead you all astray. We could instead say, hey, to-dos, its default value, by the way, unless told otherwise, is going to be item one, item two, item three. We've seen this with Python before. If we want a default value, we can give it a default value in the function, and it will be overwritten by any, arguments that are brought in. I'm just showing you that this is possible. It doesn't make sense for this application. But if you wanted default values for a prop, let's say maybe the prop doesn't exist. Maybe the prop might be empty and you don't want to jack with, does it exist? Is it real? Does it have numbers? If that particular component kind of needs it to exist or needs it to be something, we can set it in the component to some default value. I'm pretty sure this is going to bust this app up. Yeah. Okay. It didn't break it as much as I thought it would. Um, Actually, it did because this is not defaulting. Is that working the way I want it to? I think they're overriding each other. Yeah, it's not supposed to work. They're gonna be jacking with each other, trying to mess this list up. So those default values are not going to display properly. Um, but that's the thing you can do.
I'm not getting the map syntax.
The map syntax?
Yeah, the unordered list where you're showing list. I don't understand how it's appending to the, it looks like, it seems like it's appending to that list, to that map every time you type something in, and I'm not sure how it's inserting that.
Okay, so a map is going to take these values. For each of the values, it's going to do something. It also is going to create an indexer for each of those values. This is like for each. This is saying, here's to-dos. I want you to map them here. This is the name of each of those things. This is like a for loop. This is saying like, this is the let, and then here's an indexer. We're then creating, for each of these, we're adding this here. Within these brackets, these curly braces, generate a list item with a key of index and the to-do. Each of these is going to go here, index is going to go here, and it's going to keep printing them like this until it runs through that entire list.
Okay. So it's like a built-in loop.
This is a way to loop.
Like, I think that's what confused me because I'm like, how is it? You only have one line. How is it like knowing how to print the whole, like all three of the
Yeah.
default values?
I mean, if we don't love that, gang, we can do something else. We could do for let to do of to dos. Oh, I'm writing raw JavaScript. This is not going to be good.
If you're using a for loop, you have to.
We could then, I forget how to do this. I forget how to do this, but I think we could do something like list, list. Mm, mm, there's a way to go about this.
Just let
I
x equal some zero or something, and then
we could for loop it if we wanted to.
yeah,
Let me look that up while I'm not recording and try to get this one over. But there are ways to go about not mapping if we wanted to.
yeah. I guess that's the fancy way to do it. Because
Uh, maybe I don't want to think of mapping as a fancy tool. It's a standard dev tool. Standard,
yeah.
we just get used to them. Any questions?
Are we gonna most of the time we're gonna use a map with two parameters, right? There's no such a case of having three parameters on the map function.
Uh,
Like in this case, we have only two parameters. I'm just
well,
asking.
I mean, you can get some. I'm gonna say yes with asterisk. This is how we should be mapping things. I don't know about the extra arguments that go in a map. But yeah, generally we're gonna be taking a list of things and generating content with it. The point of the indexer is that, can I get this? Is this still working? Have we broken this yet? Okay, it's not too upset. If I didn't want to put this key in here, which I don't have to, I think. I used to not have to. Look at that. That's all it does. Each child in a list should have a unique key prop, meaning don't do that. I want a key prop here, and I want it to be unique. This is React saving us the pain and saying, hey, I need to be able to refer to that thing. This is just a list of items, and they're not unique to me. I don't have a way to keep track of them. Can you please give them a key so that I can do some JavaScript stuff and keep an order of this list here? I need them to be unique. If you had two keys that were both Fido, React doesn't know how to it's not going to automatically generate those for you. It wants you to tell it what those keys should be. That's all.
And I guess it's JavaScript because it's between the curly brackets, the blue curly brackets.
Yes.
That means it's JavaScript. Okay.
But again, this app will run just fine with a bunch of these errors. I don't want to see them. No, I don't want to keep sharing the screen, but I do want to stop recording.